All right, America, it's time for the Ringside Wranglers Wrestling Report with your hosts, Haz-Bin and Jack Jaw.
What's up, wrestling fans? I'm Jack Jaw with the Ringside Wrangler Wrestling Report. We are in a special edition. We've got a special guest from the indie world. We're reaching out to anybody in the indie world that's getting their action going from the COVID stuff. We're so excited to have Haz-Bin. How's it going? We also have our special guest, none other than the British Brawler, Preston Churchill. How's it going, Haz-Bin?
I'm doing fine. Good to have Preston on. Like I said, the whole purpose of why we do this show is to push over the independent folks, men and women, and looks like we're going to have a good show today.
Looking pretty sharp there.
Dusty Rhodes had a iconic promo on Hard Times. Everybody knows about it. If you haven't, where the hell have you been? Go and search it on YouTube, Google. But right now, I got to go back to where I came from. I'm a journalism graduate from LSU, and I got to go back and do what I got to do, man. It is what it is.
I got you. Well, welcome, Preston. How's it going?
Oi, it's great to be here, mate. How are you doing?
We are doing great. We loved it. We jumped at the opportunity to have you on the show. Like I always tell everybody, we're available at any time to push the independents. And I was really stoked to hear that you guys actually have a show coming up next week. So we wanted to bring you on, just give you a chance to talk about the show coming up, talk about what's going on with you, talk about what's going in your region of the country in the indie professional wrestling world. So have at it. Start from the beginning. How long you been doing this?
All right. Well, this June will be 18 years for me wrestling in the ring. I got started in the south of North America here, down in South Carolina. I got trained down there, and I wrestled a lot, South Carolina, Georgia. A year or two later, we helped start a company up in Kentucky. So I was wrestling Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, branched out to some Tennessee, Ohio, did one show in North Carolina. And then eventually I moved up here, Mishawaka, Indiana. And what was that?
It's just a little blip. No worries.
All right, right. So bollocks threw me off. Anyways, so yeah, I have wrestled all over Indiana, Michigan. I've done Ohio a lot. I've done Illinois. And I mean, it's just been, spiraling out from there. So yeah, I've been doing this 18 years. I've been trainer for a couple of different companies, PWK, POG, obviously Dan Sevens, Michigan Sports Camp up there with POG. I've helped a lot of people in a lot of ways over my 18 years. So I love doing it. Yeah, the COVID stuff, the COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, it sucked. It really has taken away from the year 2020. A lot of people had a lot of big plans for the year 2020, but it is starting to slow down, and we are starting to pick back up. I mean, we are looking at Litty Titty coming up it was supposed to be this Saturday, going into next Saturday. We got pushed back 1 week, but we've got a huge Litty Titty tournament, if you will. PWK, UWF have come together to do a co-show, and we are going to do a huge tournament, and it is going to be phenomenal. We're actually back at the Eagles Lodge. I was able to help get back in there. We were kicked out 10 years ago. One company, actually a couple of different companies were there, and it just, the whole deal fell apart. We were kicked out for almost 10 years, and we were able to get that back on track, get back in there. I mean, really, it is the heart of South Bend Wrestling, and we are back in there, and we'll be running that show next Saturday. You do not want to miss it. I personally am looking forward to knocking off a lot of ring rust and get back in there and doing what we love. I mean, I don't know if you see that there. I mean, taking the chops, giving the chops, backdrops, elbows, clotheslines, fists, headbutts. I mean, the things I'm known for. And I'm really looking forward to just putting those smiles back on the fans' faces. I do have, I need to slow down. I talk too fast.
No, it's good.
I get excited. This is me passion. This is a huge part of who I am. Wrestling is, I've always said, even before it was a big thing, I am wrestling. It's something I love. And I mean, there you go. Some classic, some very, very classic wrestling right there. That match actually was a surprise to a lot of fans to see me doing, wrestling moves, not just brawling, not just, just the bigger moves that I do, but actually, arm ringers and whatnot. We put on a quite the clinic that night, and it really surprised the fans to see me doing the old. Yeah, there we go. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going over on that one, but there we go. So yeah. I mean, that really surprised the fans because I hadn't done, classic wrestling like that in quite some time. But I look like the Kool-Aid man, though, in that red. I shouldn't wear so much red. Definitely should not. I've got a blue one just like it. Maybe I should wear the blue one more often. But anyways, no, coronavirus has sucked. We were all locked down together. We were all staying safe together. But now it is back time to get out there and time to have fun together. And I am looking forward to that. And I think I brought up merchandise. As always, I've got T-shirts. There we go. Hello. Some T-shirt for you. The old British Brawler. The old.
We actually got that shot up. We got that shot to show everybody in a second.
That's right. Yeah.
There it is.
I've also got. There we go. Yeah, the classic, the Union Jack skull. I've got those for sale. I've got the London Lion logo. It's actually very similar. It's the British Lion with the British flag on it, and the London Lion, Preston Churchill. I've got those for sale. I think I've still got a few Concussion City shirts left. I think they're either like really, really small or really, really big. All the medium sizes have gone. But I do have top hats for sale now. Top hats with the British flag logo on it. And I just finally got them in. I've been waiting on these for over half a year. I have got wrestling buddies. Remember the wrestling buddies from the 90s?
Yeah.
The Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man, the Ultimate Warrior. I have Preston Churchill wrestling buddies, and they will be for sale. Oh, yes, they be envious. Please be envious.
Hey, the Haz-Bin has one that he pulls out every now and then of Diamond Dallas Page. Remember that one a couple of weeks ago? You had that one?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Old DDP, that's right. I think he's doing well with his DDP yoga. I hear he's doing really well.
Yeah.
So I actually had the chance to meet him several years ago, but it was before he was doing the yoga. So I'm glad to hear that's working out for him. Am I too tall? Is it too much head?
No, you're good.
Okay.
I know Haz-Bin chomping at the bit. He always loves talking to the indies, and he's chomping at the bit to hit you with some questions.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Well, Preston, thanks for coming on the program. One of the reasons why my moniker is Haz-Bin is because I'm really a big fan of the older days, and like you talked about how you're doing more of the traditional wrestling stuff, and I was listening intently to you like a good journalist would do, and you had said you've been 18 years, so if my math is right, it should be 2002 or so. But if you're in the area around the Carolinas, that to me, from my perspective, is the Crockett's family in the Carolinas, and then Georgia would be Ole Anderson, and Tennessee would probably be Smoky Mountain, things of that sort. Is the way things were back in the day. Do you have a chance? I'm sure you do, but just to ask for the fans, do you have a chance to watch WWE Network and watch the older matches that Mr. McMahon's put up, since he has the library for all the library of the Smoky Mountain and the Crockett's and the Atlanta WCW, things of that sort? Have you had a chance to go back and watch the way that the wrestling was 20, 25 years ago? Obviously, I think my answer, I'm thinking your answer is going to be yes, because of the fact that I was watching your style and listening to you speak. It seems that you have that 80s style mentality of how wrestling used to be.
I haven't had the chance to go back yet. I stay pretty busy with my shoot job and with 4 or 5 kids running around. I stay very, very busy. But I have been trying to clear up my schedule to go back and watch that. I'm very excited to hear that he had done that. That he put that out there in the library and in the network. And I have been looking forward to doing that. I just haven't done that yet. Go ahead.
With you working in that, the reason I was saying is with you starting out in the Carolinas, which is back then was the hotbed. That was Flair's territory. There's no secret about it. The Carolinas were huge, and then going to Georgia, that's where Ole Anderson had the Georgia Championship Wrestling, and then became WCW and NWA and things of that sort. Tennessee, Kentucky area, that was Jim Cornette in the Smoky Mountains and Tracy Smothers and all those guys. There's a lot of rich history in those areas of the country, and for listening to you talk, when that's where you started, to me, I'm thinking, man, you definitely have you were blessed to be able to start in that area of the country, because it's just so strong and wrestling rich. It may have been 20, 30 years ago, but that mentality, to me, from what I'm reading, is still going strong. So I'm thinking you starting right there is a wonderful thing, and it's probably helped you tremendously.
Oh, it has. It has. I'll tell you, I used to hear the stories a lot from my trainers about, the territories and the flares and the smothers. And it was always good to get that knowledge and to get that input. And, when I did something right, hey, that's just like so-and-so, you're doing it great. And, when I messed it up, no, this is how you do it. And, when I finally got it right, I was like, yeah, Smothers would be proud or Flair would be proud. I mean, it was always, it was always there. I mean, even though I didn't get it directly, I didn't get the connection directly, it was given to me. And, anytime I asked questions, I was answered properly. And, I was given a good bit of history on it. So I always enjoyed that. And you're right, my trainers did train me classically. There was a lot of brawling. I do a lot of brawling as well. But I do have that knowledge, and I do attempt to use it. Sometimes, some kids, sometimes you get lost. Sometimes kids get lost where you're working with, and you have to jump onto the brawling. But it is there. Yes.
I would be remiss if I didn't elaborate on your British background. I mean, obviously, you think about Davey Boy Smith, British Bulldog, and Dynamite Kid, and there's several others. But I'm going to throw out a name to you, and I'm really hoping that you will be able to chat about this guy, because he has had such a tremendous amount of influence on particularly the NXT group, Daniel Bryan in particular. And I'm talking about Lord William Regal.
Yes, William Regal. Before I took the name Preston Churchill, I actually wrestled as Sir Frank Lennon of Oxford, another version of myself, just a younger, hotter, long-haired rock star version of myself. And one of the moves I did was the power of the punch. I actually had a custom-made hair tie with my name on it, and I'd put it on my fist, and I'd pop the guy. And I mean, that was it. Once you got hit with, the old foreign object, that was it. But yes, William Regal, definitely a huge influence. Absolutely. I've loved watching him over the years. His character, his knowledge, his ring presence. I mean, there's not many people, who had more ring presence than him.
Every time we have independent guys come on, and even the guys that are in the big leagues, if you will, when you watch their podcasts or their interviews on YouTube or whatever channel you may choose to watch it on, they always say the same thing. And to Jack Jaw and everybody else, is probably like broken records, and it's just over and over, rinse, lather, repeat. But every person that comes on every week is something I really want to express. When you get in the wrestling business in the States, that's obviously a good thing to do, but every person whom we've ever talked to on this program, and anybody we've ever seen on podcasts, anybody that was halfway successful in this business of professional wrestling, the greatest sport in the world, agree with you on that one. They have wrestled in the United States. They've wrestled in Mexico. They've wrestled in Britain. They've wrestled in Japan. Would you agree that having that potpourri of knowledge takes you over the top, where someone else may be, if they're just relegated to one particular style of wrestling or one region of the country, or the world, rather?
Oh, absolutely. Anywhere you go, it's going to be a little bit different. Even, with starting out in the South, down in Georgia, South Carolina, to moving up here, it's a lot different. I mean, there's guys that do things, not necessarily completely different, but it was a whole, I almost want to say culture shock. Things were, done different. Matches were a lot faster. You hit the high spots faster, and you did more high spots than down in the South. So, I mean, yes, it is definitely, the more knowledge you can gather, the better. And the more experience you can gather, the better, especially going new places. Like I said, I've done shows with Tracy Smothers. I've done shows with, other names, and just sitting and listening to them talk from where they've been. Done shows with Rhino, we even did a show a couple years ago with Jake the Snake Roberts. And I mean, just listen to him talk in the locker room was huge. You any time you can get a new experience, whether it's secondhand from someone who's been out there, or you can take that step and go out of your comfort zone, go out of your 20-mile radius and get out there. It's a learning experience, and it is invaluable.
So, Preston, let me ask you, your particular style that you work, would you say it's more like, was it more British, like William Regal, where you're a shooter and you just stretch people to death and make them scream, like Stu Hart would do? And I know Sir William Regal was huge with that in Britain. Or are you more like in the Carolina area, where those guys would go in there, they knew what their angle was, they knew what their storyline is, they'd go in the ring, they performed the best way that they could do it, and then they would basically let their actions speak themselves, have a really good ring presence, very good on the microphone to sell their angle or whomever they're going to feud with. Would you say you have a combination of all that, or is there one type of style that you choose to prefer to use as your repertoire?
I mean, honestly, you know, the name says it all, the British Brawler. I am a hit hard, smash hard, pound it into the ground kind of guy. I do submissions when I'll have to, if the situation calls for it, if the angle, the show calls for it. But a lot of times it's just beat them up and, you know, and give it to the crowd. You know, I'm very, very snug. Some would say even stiff with me punches. But from where I grew up, where I got trained, I mean, guys were stopping a foot away, and they'd expect you to sell that, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. As close as we sit in the Indies, as close as the crowd sits to the ring in the Indies, you can't do that.
Just hearing you talk, I'm thinking of three people right now: William Regal, Squire David Taylor, David Fit Finlay. I'm thinking that all three of those guys, that's you right there. Just in my head, just listen to you talk is what I'm thinking of. Because they exactly what you said. They went there, no nonsense. They'd stretch if they had to. They were very physical, sometimes stiff, if you will. But that's just the way they were brought up. It is what it is.
It is, and that is. I mean, that's a good way to put it. It is what it is. You know, when I hit the ring until I leave the ring, the crowd is gonna believe it is real. And if you are detrimental to that, I'm gonna hurt you. You know, I don't want to hurt you. I want to put on a good match. I want to tell a good story. But don't go out there making the crowd not believe, because that's what I'm all about. I have friends who've been in the business as long as I have, who call me a master magician, because I keep it real. The crowd will still believe in wrestling when I leave that ring, even if I have to hurt you.
Well,
that's absolutely wonderful. So now that we're complete with that, we're going to now throw it back to Jack Joe in the studio.
Yeah, Jack Joe in the studio. So, you know, one thing we're so excited to hear from you, Preston, is that you do have some actual events scheduled. So give us a rundown on this one coming up, the Litty Titty tournament. Give us a rundown on who's going to be there, what your match is going to be. Tell us how that's going down.
Okay, so obviously it's a tournament. We've got a lot of guys. I think it was up to 40 guys, 42 guys the last time I looked. I mean, you see there on the flyer, we've got everybody from Tank. We've got Steven Drochner, Hardcore Harry, Cletus Farmer, I think Diesel Trax, Tony Thunder, Roger Lanier, Adam Bueller's going to be in there. I mean, we've got a lot of guys. So many I can't even remember them all. Having it pushed back a week now may change that up a bit. I mean, you know, it's the Indies, you know, card subject to change. I mean, that should just be the name of the show every week or every month is card subject to change. You got guys who, this came up, guys who their car broke down, guys who the kid is sick. You know, we get it. It happens. But, you know, my match, and as I'm aware, it's still going on. It is myself versus Mitchell Taylor. Now, Mitchell Taylor, he's the king of wrestling, or the king of the Indies, or whatever he calls himself. He's a royal pain in the ass, is what he is, honestly. I mean, he does whatever he has to win, and it's not always legal. In fact, the last time I worked him, he pulled a chain out of his boot, popped me in the face when I wasn't looking, and he picked up the victory. Now, the crowd saw it. They got the ref to see the chain before he could stuff it in his tights. And I believe they reversed the decision. So I picked up the win. But, you know, we were supposed to have a rematch later that afternoon. That was actually Milford Fest last year down in Milford, Indiana. And, well, the rain came, washed out the show. We packed up and took it home to South Bend that night. We actually had a double header. Supposed to be 3, but ended up only 2. But, hey, 2 heads better than 1, right? Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I didn't get that rematch. So I'm looking forward to that rematch, as long as it hopefully doesn't change, next Saturday night.
Well, we'll definitely promote it on our Facebook, and this is going to be going out to YouTube, so people will see it there. That's what we like doing. We like pushing the Indies because we know that's where the real interest is in with us. So we're happy to have you on. There was another thing I saw. It looked like there was an event on a Friday. Some Friday nights coming up.
Yeah, PWK is doing a thing in Bourbon Friday night. Yes, yeah, that one. I don't know that I could make that one, so I don't think I'm going to be there because I work. I usually work in Monday through Friday, so I don't think I could make that one. But yeah, PWK is back in Bourbon. And they will be doing Friday shows. I don't know if it's every Friday, every other Friday. Like I said, I wasn't sure I can make that, so I didn't get all the details. But yeah, PWK, they run in Bourbon, every year. So it's a good little venue. You can open the doors, close the doors, whatever, depending on the weather. And I mean, that's where, we really got big for Halloween Mania every year there. Several years we brought a hearse and caskets. And several years I was involved in that match. Nice. One year the ex-wife threw me in a casket and threw me in the hearse. So
there you go. All right. Well, we're stoked. We're stoked about what's going on up there in your world. Any final comments? Anything you want to push? Any angles you want to push?
Yes. Please don't forget that I do have a YouTube channel. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and hopefully comment. And I tell you what, we are so close to 100 subscribers. If we can hit that, I will have Brawler Jr., my son Brawler Jr., pick a winner, and you will be the first to receive one of the brand new wrestling buddies. How about that?
Nice.
Those, I just got those in the mail yesterday. It's been over 6 months I've been waiting on them. But if we can get over 100 subscribers, I will pick one winner from the new subscribers to give that away. So I do appreciate that.
That's cool. Well, I'll tell you what, when you get that ready for photography or whatever, post it, and we'll look at it, and we'll definitely repost it or reshare it on our YouTube for you. Awesome. Again, any final comments, Haz-Bin?
Well, Preston, we appreciate you coming on, and I don't know if you had a chance because you said you're very busy, and I certainly respect that because I can feel the passion that you have for this business, and that's wonderful to see folks like that. That's why we love having you on. But if you have an opportunity on the WWE Network or whatever medium you may choose to get, if you could search for William Regal versus David Finlay. I do not remember if it was on a Nitro broadcast, if it was on a pay-per-view, but that particular match that they had, to this day, I still remember because maybe in the UK, that was the type of style that they do, and everyone's aware of that. But in the States, when the fans saw that, there was only one organization that could anywhere rival the way they worked that match. And I swear to God, it has to be ECW. Because that match was just off the chain. It was so violent and physical. And everything that you've been saying in our interview is exactly how that match was. So if you had never had a chance to see it, and if you did, I apologize. But if you haven't, I think it'd do you a justice to watch that just to see exactly what they brought to the table, because for me, that opened up my eyes to the way that the superstars, or the wrestlers rather, in the UK would work, and that sold me as a fan of David Finlay, William Regal, Squire David Taylor, and all those guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a different style over there for sure.
Yes.
Well, if you ever want any kind of advice on what match to watch, what to look for on that network, that whole network was made for Haz-Bin. He watches that stuff. He'll comment that he's lost 20 hours of his life in a day watching the matches on there. So he knows good matches. So when he critiques a match and gives it a thumbs up, you know it's legit.
That's why I'm do the Haz-Bin moniker, because like I said, I was a big fan. I grew up watching wrestling in the mid 70s or so. So I've obviously dated myself tough. But that's just, I fell in love with the wrestling in the late 70s, early 80s, the Horseman era, things of that sort. I mean, that was wonderful. And for the people that weren't born in that era, it's a shame. But thank goodness for Mr. McMahon was nice enough to provide on the network ways that you can go back and relive that. And folks like yourself, tremendous, enthusiastic gentlemen, and even with 20 years experience or so, there's no reason why I feel that you can't go and watch that stuff when you have the opportunity and just tone your skills, because that, plus your in-ring experience, plus working with the trainers, man, there's nothing stopping you. I know there's not.
Absolutely. And anytime anyone recommends a match to me, I do go out there and watch it. I've got several friends, most of them older friends, that say, hey, you should check this match out. And I do every time I can.
Well, Preston, we can't thank you enough for coming on. Again, we love to promote you. Shoot us some messenger messages. Tell us what's happening. And we'll
absolutely
to talk about them and push them, promote them. Any other wrestlers, anything you want to push in your industry, just reach out to us. Again, happy to have you on. Good luck today. Good luck next week, I should say, against your nemesis. Hopefully you'll get a legit win and won't get one by DQ this time.
Hopefully.
We're rooting for you. I'm Jack Jaw. Check us out later on today, our regular broadcast at 4.
Cheers.
We've got Timothy Theory from ECPW. So stoked about him as well, pushing the indie stuff. As I'm Jack Jaw, that's Haz-Bin, and thanks again, Preston, for joining us on the Ringside Wrangler Wrestling Report. We are out.
Boy!